Yeah, I just got your message.
No problem. Thank you for being flexible.
No problem. Uh, I've got the bird flu, so like my energy level is not great.
Oh no. Uh, Not to worry. So I think this is going to be fairly quick. I thought your last one was pretty good, and I've made some comments. But what I usually like to do is start by you kind of giving me an overview of the lesson, telling me what went well, and where you think the lesson could be improved, and then I'll make my comments at the end.
Okay, I didn't really have an opener because I was told to collect data, so I gave a quiz. I guess that was the opener, just checking to see if the students were actually paying attention in the last class. It was a
Mhm,
pop quiz, but
mhm,
uh, with the quizzes I give normally, it's no risk. It's just to let me know how they're doing. Um, I do tell them that I told them that this time it didn't matter what their score was. Sometimes my school wants me to collect data, and usually they just let me do whatever I want. So quiz went well. Um, Now there was an episode where one of the students couldn't get connected to his internet, and I told him I would help him in a second, and I cut that out because it wasn't pertinent to the lesson.
mhm.
Um, but I wanted them to do their quizzes first. He didn't need to use his computer to do the quiz. Um, Classroom management was great. Kids were on task and they
Mhm.
were actually really focused. Um, Thomas, who I'm probably going to do my case study on, he likes to play video games in class, and I can tell when he's playing video games because I can hear his GPU fan spin up
Sure,
because
sure, sure.
we have the exact same computer. Um, but in that class, he stayed on task. He was focused.
Mhm.
I think they liked the structure. I didn't do a lot of talking in class. Um, that's more of a what I perceive Moreland wants me to do to create a student-centered classroom.
Mhm.
I mean, I can get out there and show my students how much I know, but that's not going to help them develop into better students. So I gave them an open-ended assignment. The data I collected was very varied. Um, uh, the two girls were looking at women's issues in the
Okay.
war, which was cool. Um, they the last unit we did on World War I, I gave them an open-ended paper, and I got papers like animals in the war, uh, women's rights in the war. Uh, One of my students loves France, so but I didn't pigeonhole them because I wanted them to be interested in what they wanted to write, and I think that
Mhm.
that's important to create student-centered learners. Um, what I could do better, bring more energy into the class. Um, I was really run down, and I'm still really run down. Um, I'm probably not going to go to work tomorrow.
Mhm.
I don't want to face a classroom full of kindergarten students the way I'm feeling because my patience is really, really, really
Sure.
short, and I don't want to bite anybody's head off. Um, I think I showed good use of 21st century skills. Um, I cut the sound out.
Mhm.
There was an accident on the highway, and they were running ambulances. and we back onto a hospital, and all I could hear was sirens.
Yeah.
There's not a lot I could do with that. Um, but you know, as I said in my reflection, it wasn't my best class. It wasn't my worst class. It was
Hmm.
okay. And as educators, it's a little unrealistic to think you're going to have perfect classes each and every time. And
Yeah, I agree with that. It's not possible. Um, but I thought this class was very good. I think you started with a purpose and you ended with a purpose, which I thought was great. So this is what I saw. You kind of greeted the students when they were coming in. That's what it seemed like in the beginning. And I didn't know some of the students had their laptops already open, and I'm not sure that's kind of the way you begin class, or if you would prefer that everyone had their laptop closed and ready, or open and ready, right? So I couldn't tell what you would prefer. Um, but then it wasn't really an issue because you started with a quiz, so it got them to focus anyway, right? So whether they had their laptop open and ready to learn, or just had their laptop open, and didn't matter because they had to take this um, 5 question true or false quiz,
yeah,
which was a great way to kind of get them the focus on this. And they know by now that the quiz is a really a formative quiz for you to understand, where they are. So I think they were kind of relaxed going into that. However, I would say this: if they are supposed to pay attention when they get into class, you might want them to keep their laptops closed until you ask them to open it. Um, Again, it really depends on what the purpose is or the objective of the lesson.
yeah,
But I thought
it's
the quiz was
not
great.
it's not
Yeah,
my classroom, it's their classroom. Um,
yeah,
it's a little different than back home where you would have your classroom and you can decorate it the way you want. Um, in
right.
in in China, the teachers move and the students stay, so it's a
Yeah,
lot different. But yeah,
yeah.
usually I don't have any problems, and I always go into class um, about 10 minutes early just to chit chat with the students to see how they're doing and catch
That's
up catch up on the latest school gossip with them, which I think is interesting.
Oh, that's great, and I'm sure they like that. Um, and when you did the quiz, I'm glad you included the student who was not there in order to just say, if you feel like taking it, take it. Since it doesn't really count for anything, so maybe they would know the answers or not. Didn't hurt anything. I thought that was good. And then after the quiz was over, you went over the responses, which was fantastic. And then you jumped into the essential question for the day. And the best part about that is you had it up on the board. You explained what it was, everybody could see it, so everybody was on the same page before you really began the lesson. Yeah, you told the students they could write in Chinese, which is great because that helps them. Uh, for some of them who struggle with English, or might be intimidated writing in English, they can actually get their thoughts down in Chinese and then translate that into English when they had that group activity, or the pairing. But overall, I thought the class was focused, like you said. You timed everything to make sure everybody was on task when they were doing their research, which was great. And then, like you said, there was no audio, but I could hear the sirens in the beginning. I was wondering why there was no audio when you were going around filming. But when you were filming, all the students looked engaged. They had smiles on their faces, and they were interacting with one another, and that's what you really want to see. But it seemed like everybody was enjoying the activity and
Yeah,
sharing. Yeah.
yeah, they got pizzas for their efforts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Actually,
But
no,
that's
no, they didn't. I was sick on Thursday, and then I went to work on Friday, and
yeah,
we only had three. Now you're gonna notice in different videos I'm gonna have very different numbers of students.
Mhm.
I'm supposed to have 16, but they're always going for IELTS training, because
Yep.
that's the big thing. So I might, like Friday there were three, and I was like, "Do you guys want pizzas for lunch?" I said two pizzas. There's three of you, and they're like, "No, we're gonna wait till next week." So I was actually
Oh, that's nice.
I was really proud of them because I gave them the option.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, no, it looks like a good class. Again, they are seniors, right? And this is their last semester, so you expect that maturity. But um, I thought the class was good. Like I said, you're greeting students. You start with a formative assessment. You had a clear objective. You started out with some research, and then you put them into groups, and then the students shared. And it's fantastic, right? And so you, like you said, it was more student centered because they were able to do some research and share. A next step, possibly if you want to extend this, you could have the students create posters, whether electronically or physically.
That's my
Is that
PBL.
what you're doing?
That's
There
my
you go.
PBL. I've already got my rubric set up. Um,
Well,
I'm gonna leave it open ended for them. Just
mhm,
take something that they find well, maybe not open ended, but choose a person and then do like a little biography, throw up some pictures. I got my rubric
mhm,
already. That'll be my PBL.
mhm.
So
Yeah, it'll have to work for this. Um, yeah, as yeah, like I said, the lesson was good. I think you're right. It wasn't bad. It wasn't outstanding, but it's a solid template to work off of.
yeah,
Um, yeah. Uh, so for improvements, well, okay. One last thing I want to say. So I also thought, even though you said you thought the energy level was low, I thought you had a good pace and good tone um, throughout the lesson, and it seems like you connected with the students. So I thought that was good. But again, you're lucky you have seniors who probably easier to manage. Now, if you filmed your kindergarten class, I imagine it'd be a little bit different,
oh no, actually, cla
right?
class classroom management's usually not never been an issue with me. Actually, I can keep a group of 4-year-olds engaged. It's actually
That's
quite nice
pretty.
to see. Um, but well, it requires a different skill set, but the
Mhm,
foundation is the same. Where ki- kids need structure. All kids need structure. They need to know where the box is, what happens when they get outside the box, what happens if they stay inside the box.
mhm.
And a lot of like when I was a new teacher almost 20 years ago, I had no idea what I was doing. I was thrown into the classroom and said, "Go teach." And
Mhm,
it took a lot of work to get to where I am today, and I'm still learning stuff. Uh,
mhm.
we're starting to have meetings on Fridays. I talked about Thomas. The problem um, with my case study is that um, my student's graduating. So
Mhm,
so
mhm,
I'm gonna make it theoretical. I won't
mhm,
put it as theoretical in my assignment, but it's all gonna have to be theoretical.
mhm. Yeah, and that happens. It really depends on the timing for your clinical, right? It happens. It happens quite often.
Yeah. So, um,
Going forward, like this is the great. up with since all the students have technology, you can actually try to bring in a little bit more tech. Let's say you do another formative assessment, maybe you could do a Nearpod or something like that to increase the engagement. It's really going to depend on the class and the energy level of the
Yeah,
class. If you walk into a classroom and they've been sitting all day, you might want to do something where they stand up a little bit more interactive so they can, move around a little bit. But it's hard to tell until you have those type of classes.
yeah. Um, I've never
Uh,
used I've never used Nearpod. Do you need Google to get it to work? Because that
no, Nearpods, it's oh,
okay. I'll I'll try. I guess I can teach them how to use Nearpod. I taught them how to use Mentimeter, and
sure, yep.
they had a lot of fun with Mentimeter. They've never seen something like that before. Um, I actually gave them a quiz in Mentimeter, and then we had a discussion based on
Mhm.
their results. And um, I veered off my lesson plan, but we had a really they were really engaged and really excited, and you never want to trample on that excitement. And yeah, it met the standards for the class in a roundabout way, but sometimes when they want to talk, you just let you gotta let them go. It's like a teachable moment. It's
Mhm.
a it's those moments that are few and far between, that when you walk out of the classroom, you're like, that was a good class.
Yeah, right.
And then
Um,
you're always chasing that high as a teacher.
True. So take a look at Nearpod. Nearpod has different activities that you can embed into it. And it's so you would actually have to create the Nearpod. You could do matching games, you could do memory games. Have you played a Kahoot? Have you used Kahoot?
Mm,
Kahoot's another one.
I've seen it. I've never used it.
Yeah, so Kahoot's another one. So there's a Kahoot-like quiz built into it where it's very engaging, interactive. All the students like it. Um, but you can do virtual field trips, so you can actually give them a location, and then they can explore that from a World War II perspective if you're keeping with World War II. But what
It's
it does, it just kind of increases the engagement level. So if you know you have a lesson coming up, it's going to be like, okay, now what do I do? I want to be able to keep the kids engaged. Nearpod will definitely do it because there's a lot of little things you can build into it. Like, so your quiz, your true or false quiz, you can have a picture of the Canadian flag, and you could say, you know, match the correct government. So you can have, dictatorship, democracy, whatever in there, and then they can actually match between the two. So it's just a different way to present the same information.
okay. I'll give my students a crash course on it, because this week I had two classes,
Yeah.
and the second class is a somebody covered me when I was sick, so I owe them a class, so I can use that class to do that. For my second video, we're gonna do a real jigsaw. So I've got my readings all done. My wife translated them. Oh, because I bought her a new phone, and that was the deal I made with her, was you have to translate everything I give you. Don't complain because you got a new phone. And the kids thought that was very funny. Um,
That's good.
but then it'll help with differentiation, because I don't have any uh, special needs. Well, I do have
Mhm.
suspected special needs, but I don't know what the problem is. I know there's a problem, and I'm not an expert, so I I'm not allowed to talk to the parents. The schools won't admit there's a problem. But I did tell all my students, when they go to university, the first thing you do after you settle in is, every university has a center for students with special needs. Go there, get a free assessment,
Mm,
And if you're in Canada, you'll get grants from the government, like free money. Like I got like 4,000 a month or 4,000 a semester, free money.
mm,
Um,
okay.
because I have dysgraphia and ADHD. So my
Mhm,
government gave me money for stuff like hiring a tutor, scribes, buying a computer, which I already had going into university. So
mhm,
I I use the money as spending money because it was
okay.
free money from the government. So I said, everybody, even if you think you don't have a problem, go get checked out. You might get accommodations for your tests. You might be able to get a, and they were shocked because in China they don't have any of this.
Mhm,
So hopefully the two students who I suspect had learning disabilities will do that and they'll get the help they need.
okay. Yeah, I think that's great advice. So for our next meeting, so right now for me, this time works, but it may change slightly depending on what VCs my wife and I have.
Okay.
Uh, but right now, it's 7:15. That was the start time, my time, 8:15 Eastern.
Yeah.
If that's going to work, if this morning's going to work, let's keep that time for you if that's going to work.
Yeah. Eight
And
eight
yeah,
8:15 Sunday mornings Eastern time works for me.
yep. Okay, let's do that. Um, but I thought this first one, the baseline went well.
Good. And hopefully my second video goes well too.
It's okay. Um,
Just keep going up.
all right, so yeah. So I think for the next one, right, you'll send me the lesson plan. I can review it if you have any questions about that, uh, and then we can regroup when you send the video. We'll do the same thing that we're doing now, um, and then we'll go from there.
Perfect. Have a great day, and I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, well, I hope you feel better.
I hope so too. Ha have a great week.
You too. I'll talk to you later. Bye.